Hello, and welcome to the first podcast in Module 1, Foundations for Digital and Co-engaged Learning. In this short series of podcasts, we're going to explore some of the key ideas that can help us design meaningful digital learning experiences, particularly in the context of Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD. Now, before we start thinking about digital learning tools or course structures or platforms, it's important to begin with a more fundamental question. What kind of learning do we actually want to support? And this is where Education for Sustainable Development becomes important. Equal sign, ESD focuses on helping learners develop the knowledge, skills, values, and capabilities needed to respond to the complex environmental and social challenges that our societies face today. These challenges include things like climate change, biodiversity loss, water scarcity, food insecurity, energy transitions, and increasing inequality. But what makes these challenges particularly difficult is that they are not simple problems with simple solutions. They are often referred to as wicked problems. And wicked problems are difficult because they involve many interacting systems, environmental systems, economic systems, political systems, and social systems. They also involve many different stakeholders, perspectives, and interests. For example, if we think about climate change, it is not only a scientific issue. It also involves energy systems, economic development, political decision making, social justice, and the everyday choices people make in their lives. Because of this complexity, sustainability challenges cannot be addressed through traditional forms of education that simply transfer knowledge from teacher to learner. Instead, learners need opportunities to explore problems, engage with different perspectives, collaborate with others, and develop the capacity to act. In other words, ESD is not only about learning about sustainability, it is about learning for sustainability, and this requires different kinds of learning processes. For example, learners need to develop systems thinking, which helps them understand how different systems interact. They need critical thinking so they can evaluate information and consider different perspectives. They need collaboration skills because sustainability challenges often require collective solutions. And they need the ability to imagine alternative futures and develop creative responses to complex challenges. Another useful way to think about ESD is through the key sustainability themes that many education systems are now using to structure sustainability learning. These themes include areas such as healthy environments and healthy people, climate action, water security, land and biodiversity, waste and circular economies, sustainable food systems, and energy transitions. Each of these themes represents a major sustainability challenge facing societies today. For example, water security focuses on the protection and management of water resources. Sustainable food systems focus on how food is produced, distributed, and consumed in ways that support both environmental sustainability and human health. Climate action focuses on both mitigation and adaptation responses to climate change. What is important to understand, however, is that these themes are not separate issues. They are deeply interconnected. Food systems depend on water resources, biodiversity, and climate conditions. Energy systems influence climate change and environmental health. Waste management connects to production systems and circular economy approaches. So, sustainability education needs to help learners understand relationships and systems, not just isolated topics. Now, if we bring this back to the context of course design, this raises an important question. When we design a course, what exactly are we designing for? Traditionally, many courses begin with a list of topics that need to be covered, but in ESD, we often begin with a slightly different question. Instead of asking what content should we teach, we might ask what sustainability challenge or issue should learners engage with. And once we identify that challenge, we can begin thinking about what kinds of learning experiences might help learners explore it. For example, if you are designing a course on water security, learners might analyze local water challenges, explore different water management approaches, and collaborate to identify potential solutions. If your course focuses on sustainable food systems, learners might explore food production systems, examine the environmental impacts of agriculture, and investigate how local food initiatives contribute to sustainability. So, in ESD, course design often begins with real world issues and challenges, rather than only with theoretical content. This also means that learning often becomes more participatory and collaborative. Learners discuss ideas with others, explore case studies, analyze problems, and reflect on possible solutions. This is where digital learning environments can play a very powerful role. Digital platforms allow learners to interact with each other, share ideas, engage in dialogue, and collaborate across different locations and contexts. And this becomes particularly important when we are dealing with sustainability challenges that affect communities in different parts of the world. In the next podcast, we will explore how digital transformation is reshaping how knowledge is produced, shared, and accessed in society. We will also begin thinking about how digital technologies can support new forms of collaborative learning and knowledge sharing. Later in this module, we will introduce several frameworks that can help you design courses that support meaningful and transformational learning processes. These include theory of change, which helps us clarify the change we want our course to support. Activity theory, which helps us understand how learning happens in socially mediated environments, and digital learning frameworks that help structure online learning communities. But before we move on, I would like to invite you to start thinking about your own course idea. What sustainability issue or challenge might your course address? Which of the sustainability themes might be relevant to your context? And what kinds of learning experiences might help learners engage with those challenges? These are the kinds of questions that will guide the course design process as we move forward in this program. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you in the next podcast.